oceans of the world, where since life began, a struggle for survival has raged, largely unseen by man. One of the longest and greatest survivors is Carcharodon carcharias, the great white shark. He roams the seas of much of the planet, but is most common in the waters of the Southern Ocean, where this story takes place. Here in South Australia, a thriving fishing industry must share the water with the white shark. But the fishermen who risk the most are those who dive for abalone. They venture up to 30 miles offshore in search of the reefs which are home to the abalone and often a haunt of the white shark. Their boats, though strong and fast, provide little protection. The risks are high, very high, but so are the rewards. It's sometimes necessary to dive to depths of up to 130 feet to find abalone, the meat of which is so highly prized in Asia. It's cold, hard diving, but at up to $15 for one good shellfish, there's real money to be made for men who've got the courage. Because just beyond vision, there's the presence which they know is there, waiting. 300 million years ago, in the time of the dinosaurs, the great white shark evolved. One of the oldest animal forms on our planet, he is, as far as we can tell, perfectly adapted to and in control of his environment. He has no natural predator. But science knows very little of this creature. Not one has ever lived beyond a few days in captivity. We do know that he's the world's largest and most feared predator. His teeth are the biggest of any shark and enable him to tear out in one bite up to 40 pounds of flesh from the bodies of both fish and mammals. Seals, whales, dolphins are his preferred menu in these waters, but he'll eat big fish too. In fact, almost anything, especially if it's dead or injured. He is both lion and jackal of the sea. In the fishing town of Port Lincoln, the abalone divers have decided that the best defense against shark attack is a mobile cage from which they can harvest the shellfish whilst relatively safe from the predator. This film is the story of their courage and the ultimate test of that cage. Peter Thompson runs an export business for abalone. Neil Williams was the first abalone diver in this area and is regarded by many as one of the best. Herb Illick has been a professional fisherman for all his working life. And Trevor Garno was another pioneer diver with Neil.
Cowboys, it's okay, but the sharks, who knows?
Well, what do you think about these bars? Are they going to be strong enough?
They're made of stainless steel.
What happens if you get a motor failure in a hungry shark?
Nah, look, Herb, you'll have one look at this and swim off for his life.
Look, the one that had a go at me down the Neptune wasn't frightened of anything. He just came straight up, opened his mouth and started to bite. Luckily, I had half a bag of abs, which I put straight in his mouth. And as he was eating, his teeth cut right through both fingers, right to the bone. He wasn't going to give up, and I was worried about all the blood from the hand. And also how I was going to get 90 feet back up into the boat without getting eaten. I set off across the bottom, picked a few abs up to make the bag a bit bigger in case he had another go at me. And then, just keeping the bag in front of me, made my way up to about 50 foot of water. And at that stage, I couldn't see the shark. I filled up the parachute and let her go straight up, landed alongside the boat, and then just as I went to get inside, there's a little chafing batten runs along the side of the boat, jumped straight over the boat, and the lead belt hooked in the batten. Luckily, the sheller, he looked around, wondered what I was doing, because he hadn't seen the shark, but saw the fear in my eyes, reached over, grabbed the back of my lead belt and dragged me straight into the boat. At that stage, you know, there was blood everywhere coming out of my hand, which would have been a problem down below. And, you know, I was lucky to get out of it as light as that. And I don't want another run-in, you know, like that. So I guess I really have to look at one of these things.
Okay! You right, Hop? Yeah. Let's go!
So the decision was made to sea test the cage. It's made from stainless steel tubing and has buoyancy and reserve air tanks built in. It's powered by a hydraulic motor resting in a gimbal. The diver works a valve to control speed, and he can turn by swinging the whole motor. Buoyancy can be adjusted with a dump valve which blows off excess air. Hoses from the surface pump down hydraulic oil for the motor, air for the diver, and even warm water to circulate in his wetsuit. Having proved the seaworthiness of the cage, the divers decided they'd have to test it against a great white. To this end, they contacted Rodney Fox, one of the world's foremost authorities on these sharks. Rodney's one of the few people who've been attacked by a great white and lived to tell the tale. Himself an ex-abalone diver, he has no trouble in understanding the divers' concerns.
For collecting abalone, but as far as the sharks go, we don't know.
Well, you'll never really know until you expose the cage to a great white shark whether or not it's attracted to it. It may get tangled in the hoses, it may be attracted to the spinning propeller. I've seen a 20-foot big white shark crash into some filming cages I had and do quite a bit of damage. And until you expose the cage to the shark, you will never be satisfied or be happy to work with it.
So an expedition was mounted to take the men, their boat, and the cage to some of the offshore islands. Here, it was hoped, they'd be able to dive safely for the first time in the company of the great white shark.
Okay, Herbie, let her go.
Wind's still a bit rough, Herb. What do you reckon it's going to do?
Oh, I think it'll probably drop off. It'll probably go a bit southeast later on.
I think the first thing we should do is go and get some apps.
Right, with or without the cage.
I'll do it both ways if you like.
Somewhere nice and non-sharky, eh?
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Crayfish traps, or pots as they're called, are a familiar sight to abalone divers. A bait of an old fish head attracts the lobster into the trap. The crayfishermen store their catch in wells in their boats until they can go into port and send them to the processing factory for export all over the world.
There you go! You get plenty of lobster!
Yeah, going all right. What's that thing you got there?
That's a shark cage for getting apps!
You reckon they'd keep a white shark out?
Don't know yet, we're looking for one! Haven't seen any about!
No, I haven't seen it here for a while. How do you reckon to go keeping one of these out?
We might have to put a few more bars in the cage.
The divers may well laugh now, but the time for laughing would soon be past. What would this monster do to the diver's frail cage? Perhaps ignore it completely or even flee? Unlikely. Fear is not an emotion with which the white shark is familiar. He has no need of fear. would his massive jaws simply crush the steel tubing of the cage, or the teeth puncture the air and ballast tanks, sending the breathless diver straight to the bottom? Or would he attack the hoses? For the divers, their time of reckoning was fast approaching. In order to test the cage against the great white, it was first necessary to attract the sharks to the expedition boat. To this end, a foul-smelling concoction called chum was brewed up by Rodney Fox. Over many years of attracting sharks for research and filming purposes, Rodney's perfected a mixture of oil, blood, minced fish, and red meat. Tasty morsels are hung over the side of the boat to keep the sharks there when they arrive.
Yeah, Trev, just try this one on. Yeah, they're really a bit on the nose, and they ought to attract them.
The chum is ladled out day and night. The wind and tide carry a continuous trail of it out into the Southern Ocean for the sharks to follow back to the source. The theory is that the sharks assume the hull of the boat to be a dead whale, and the chum and baits to be pieces floating away from the carcass. When all is ready, it's simply a matter of waiting for the action to start.
Guys are interested, there's a couple of big sharks out here. Come on, you guys, get out of bed. Hey, still here, come on down the stern.
Oh, have a look at the size of him.
Definitely good, isn't he? Gee, it's a nice shark. See, it's a male.
Boy,
Right in the back.
what a ripper.
Well, he's having a go at the rack. Fight the bait. Definitely a 14 anymore.
Oh, have a look at this. He's going to have a go at those motors.
Well, come on, let's get him some special bait. Look, see his eye turn back.
Coming up again.
Look at the tuner. Oh, get your wetsuits on and climb in the cage.
Yeah, come on, Neil, let's have a close look at him.
Well, that'll do me. I'll be in that.
We'll let him go first.
Right. Here you go, Pete.
Pull it down the back so that we can climb in. Is that catch undone there, Herb?
I don't think it is. We'll have to climb on the bottom and put it off down there.
Got the stick. Burns. Oh, that's right.
Whoa, look at him.
Yeah.
When somebody has to hold the cage up in the air so it doesn't sink as they push down.
Oh, yeah.
So you pull up, one guy pulls up on this rope, and the other person has to under with the hook. Hand either side and go right in. How big do you reckon is he, Herb? 14?
That's big. This bit goes right across the back of the boat.
The cage, look at this. Oh, he's circling. Oh, he knows him. Here he comes, here he comes. Wow, look at that, he's smashed into the cage. Oh, look at that, they'll get a good view of that. That'll give him a bit of a fright. You can look big to them down there.
Woo! Did you see the size of that thing?
Is he beauty? Watch out, watch. Hey, careful, he could be around still. Watch out, you think it's rough there.
We're going to have to learn to live with it somehow. Yeah, I'll take the gear off.
Camera? Did you get any pictures?
Yeah, oh, it's a beauty.
Did he get his nose come right up to the cage? He fed on it, didn't he?
Just rubbing his teeth along the edge.
First camera
Have a look, he's here with us.
Well, what do you think, Trev?
Oh, that's unbelievable. Oh, I tell you what, we're definitely going to put some more mesh in that cage with some more bars. Oh,
They're bigger underwater, aren't they?
incredible. Oh, I've never seen anything like that.
Did you see when he put his nose up to the cage there, whether he put his teeth inside your cage or not?
First time he came right up, and actually, you know, you could have put your hand on his mouth like that.
Oh,
Did you?
No.
No way.
Bring back old memories.
Did you feel any different than when you was out here when that other one had to go at you? I mean, you had a cage this time.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
I felt a little bit more confident.
Yeah, it takes a while to get used to that, though. Because that's my first time I've ever been in one, you know?
You know, the biggest thing that I'm worried about is when you go down there in your cage is those darn hoses.
Yeah.
Because they're the most vulnerable part on that whole cage, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to have to put an aqualung inside the cage for sure. Just rig it up so that if something does happen, we lose all our air, that we can drift around out there until someone can get help to us.
Okay, you guys, get stuck into these.
I'll have mine medium rare, Rod.
Here's one for you, Peter. Big one for a big boy.
They're not too bad now.
That's great.
Oh, these look bloody nice.
Beautiful.
Get into it, Herb.
Here, Trev. Try this one.
Thank you.
Bleed up hardy, boys. You might have to face a big shark tomorrow.
Have you had any encounters with the white shark, Trev?
Yeah. I've had a couple, but the one that really had me worried most was the one down at Thistle Island. I was working in fairly shallow water, and he came in from behind me, went past me, probably about 6 or 7 feet away. I thought it was a dolphin or a seal to start with, and he circled me quite a few times over a period of about 5 or 10 minutes, and he really had me worried because the first time he came in and straight towards me and stopped about 6 or 7 feet away and then went off again, and I thought, well, this is perhaps the way that Terry Manuel went, but they look huge. Oh,
When they come at you like that.
just don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It's
There's been,
unpredictable.
a few others seen down that spot too. Just,
In that area?
Yeah, right where you were.
Yeah, I think there has been a couple. It was crystal clear water too,
Yeah.
really shallow. Sort of area you would have stuck your kids over.
Yeah, it was pretty dirty up at Streaky when poor Terry nearly got virtually bitten in half.
Terry Manuel?
Yeah, he was at one of the ab diving up Streaky a few years ago, or 74 or something like that. And he was diving pretty dirty water that day, and unfortunately he got bitten. He surfaced and yelled out shark, and the shallow was about 20 or 30 feet away. He come over to him, and when he got there was just a big pool of blood, 15, 20 foot in diameter, and he was in the middle of it. And shallow grabbed him, put him over, grabbed him by the weight belt to pull him into the boat, and the shark come up right there as he's trying to pull him in the boat and grab him. They had a bit of a tug of war, and when the shallow got him into the boat, there was virtually only half of him there. He virtually died on the spot.
Pretty nasty thought, eh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's it.
Looks like it's you, Herb.
Clear, Neil?
Day to day, Herb. 2 big ones around too.
One way down.
Having gained an idea of what those jaws could do, it was thought wise to first expose the cage to the sharks without a diver in it. Herb entered the relative safety of the observation cage to see what would happen.
Well, here's the go here now. Wow, look at that. I think he's coming in. No, he's coming back. Keep those hoses up, Fred. He's really latched on this time. What do you think, Trev? Did he hold the tanks or not?
No, they look okay.
Whoa, did you see that? Hey, do you still want to try it?
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
All possible safety precautions were taken. There was no putting it off now. The moment of truth had arrived.
There, Herb, because if you run out of air, you're in trouble. Okay. How's all the other equipment? Yeah, all seems to be right. Got all those wires on. Also, I've turned on this regulator here and make sure that you know where it is all the time. Okay.
Right, ready to go.
Everything all clear, Rodney? Yeah, lift you up.
Yeah, all clear down here. Let her rip. Listen, Herb. Don't panic. Okay. Stay clear and don't panic. There, that's all I need.
I've got it. Rightio.
There's one down here deep.
He looks like he's still in one piece.
Hook him in the back.
There you go, Herb.
He's our big brute.
Nah, you got a bluff now.
They certainly pushed the cage around when they hit it. Did one bite on the back of it. I could feel him. Oh, cage shook like hell.
Hey, what is it? Here, look at
I
this.
tried to
Hey,
turn
look
around.
here where it smashed into this dump valve. It's all broken off.
Yeah.
Did you see him come down on top? We was
No,
watching
I
up
just
there.
saw his tail and I felt the big thump, thump, shook the cage around.
Well, it's got a big piece off of it now.
You know that you had one on each side if you were one behind you there at one stage.
This is juicy, yeah.
Made the cage look very small.
Where are they now? I don't like having my legs in the water here.
There was two that just came right at the front and just crashed into the tanks and just glanced off. Didn't really go to take. I thought, they might have taken the bite, but half open mouth.
Yeah. They really looked big from up top there, when you saw the length of the cage and then you saw the length of the shark. It'd come in and bang.
Yeah. And you say one nearly grabbed hold of your flipper?
Well, I thought he had hold of a flipper, but it was the propeller wash. The flipper was shaking with the wash.
What about your heart?
And I pulled my flipper in and nothing there.
What, no leg.
The cage seemed to stand up well. Now more sharks had arrived, and it was decided to try the cage again.
Yeah, there's a big one coming in on him now.
Dive, Herb, dive! the sharks are getting more used to the cage, they're getting more snappy, you know.
Can't see him now. Where is he? Go on, try and pull him in the cage. Get him out. I can't see him. Got him off. Got the oil and air everywhere. You better get her, man. Let's go, Herb.
Oh, look, it's bloody nice.
Watch out. Coming up. One's coming up. Can you get out?
Yeah.
Quick. Watch out for that.
Come on, quick.
Hurry up. Quickly. Look back again. Oh, get out. Oh, how's your heart?
4,000 red still.
Hey, your heart is.
Oh. He turned around with a line and he came straight back to the cage.
Yeah.
And he just shook the hell out of it.
Pretty spectacular from up here.
Oh, you were lucky he didn't take you off and tow you into the ocean.
I had my knife out ready to cut the lines in the cage. Because that's what I thought he was going to do.
Oh, you all right?
Makes the adrenaline pump, doesn't it? Good stuff.
Well, have a look at that, Herb. Is the airlines gone? Right down here, there's another cut down here. He's really chopped those hydraulic lines up.
I thought he'd cut it off there at one stage, but then I felt the cage really shake again. I knew he hadn't.
Yeah, but at least did you feel safe in the cage itself?
Yeah, I think you're quite safe in there.
Yeah.
But he could probably tow you a long way if you got that hooked up in him.
What a mess. Look, he just sliced through that. Look at that one.
Come on, let's go and have a cup of coffee.
Oh, my knees are still shaking. I felt him tug on the line, and I turned around to see that he had hold of it. I thought, well, here goes. He's just going to go straight through it, but he just kept biting. He got tangled up in it and took more line and more line, and till he started dragging the cage down.
There's froth and bubbles everywhere.
Yeah, and then all the oil was. I couldn't see much after that. I saw that he turned back around and came to the cage as I was about to cut the line, and all I could see was a big mouth, about 4 foot off the back of the cage, and I went back in again quick, and not long after that he let go. He just must have freed himself.
Actually, going by the look of these serrations on the hose, he had a fair sort of a mouth.
Look, it really proves that cage is safe to abalone dive out of, because you've been involved with 5 sharks down here swimming around attacking it, and they've only taken the hose. And if you've got enough air to survive and you can get up to the surface, you'll be safe.
Exactly, yeah.
Today, many of the abalone divers of Port Lincoln use the cage, but some still prefer to take their chances. Perhaps they haven't been face to face with the great white shark or know the power of those jaws. But those who felt that cold stare of death know that when you're 100 feet down and all alone, a few thin steel bars could mean the difference between life and death.